So from here we are again repeating as we have taken yesterday, only few chemicals or few polymers have been used in the production of synthetic fibers. We have raised a question, why only few synthetic fibers, few polymers or chemicals are used for the production of synthetic fiber? Because they should possess certain properties. If they are not possessing those properties, they cannot be used for production of synthetic fibers. And what are those properties that we have taken yesterday also? Repeating again, there are 6 properties which are required in a polymer to be converted into filament or fiber. The polymer should be hydrophilic in nature. They should be enough chemically resistant. They should be arranged linear means the polymer should be linear. They should possess a particular length. They should be oriented and able to form high melting point polymer system. So among these first 5 we have covered. So we will go through them again a little bit fast. Hydrophilic properties means these polymers should be polar so that they can attract water molecules, which will make the fabric or textile materials comfortable to wear, and static electricity is discharged to the surrounding atmosphere and avoiding the chances of fire hazards. Chemically resistance for a reasonable length of time against the common degrading agents such as sunlight and weather, common types of soiling, body exudations, laundry liquids and dry cleaning solvents. इन सब के प्रति ये chemically resistant होना चाहिए so that it cannot be degraded easily. The textile materials will not degrade easily. Linearity means minimum branching, length that is more than 100 nanometer, and because length is going to affect the strength of the fiber, because longer the polymers, more cohesive the polymer system, and more cohesive the polymer system, stronger is the fiber. Then orientation, that means how the polymers are arranged. They are arranged or aligned into more or less parallel order in the direction of the longitudinal axis of the fiber or filament. अगर फाइबर और फिलामेंट की जो लॉन्गिट्यूडनल एक्सिस है, लेंथवाइज जो डायरेक्शन है, उसके अगर पैरेलल पॉलीमर्स अरेंज्ड हैं, दैट इज नोन एज वेरी वेल ओरिएंटेड पॉलीमर्स. So orientation may be of two types. Either it is randomly arranged or it is arranged or aligned longitudinally into more or less parallel order. So if they are randomly arranged, they are creating amorphous regions. Amorphous regions are created if the polymers are not arranged parallel to the longitudinal axis. Means if they are arranged randomly, means without any order, display no particular order, without any order, it means amorphous regions. Amorphous regions are created within the polymer system of the fiber. And if they are arranged or aligned longitudinally, means they are arranged properly and more or less parallel order along the length of the fiber, then they are creating crystalline regions. And the proportion of amorphous and crystalline regions is going to affect many properties as we have seen yesterday, and we will repeat it again. If the random orientation is there, means if the polymers are arranged randomly, means creating amorphous regions, the polymers are further apart. The gap between the polymers will be more. If they are more or less parallel oriented, then the polymers are often closer together, means the gap between the polymers will be less. So if the gap between the polymers is high, is more, it results in these three properties, these three situations. It results in formation of interpolymer forces of attraction, that is less formation of interpolymer forces of attraction. In case of crystalline regions or more closer polymers are there, then formation of interpolymer forces of attraction will be more. Here it is less in case of amorphous regions. In case of crystalline regions, it will be more. So interpolymer force of attraction means different type of bonds, creation of different type of bonds will be more in case of crystalline regions as compared to amorphous regions. But amorphous regions, because they are further apart, means gap between the polymers is more, so it permits easier entry of water and dye molecules as well as molecules of degrading agents. वाटर मॉलिक्यूल्स इजीली एंटर करेंगे पॉलीमर सिस्टम में, डाई मॉलिक्यूल्स भी इजीली एंटर करेंगे, बट साइमल्टेनियसली डिग्रेडिंग एजेंट्स के जो मॉलिक्यूल्स है वो भी पॉलीमर सिस्टम में एंटर करेंगे, एंड इट रेस्ट्रिक्ट्स इजियर एंट्री ऑफ वाटर and dye molecules as well as molecules of degrading agents. So chances of degrading of the textile materials will be less if more crystalline regions are there, but restricts easier entry of water and dye molecules, so moisture absorption property will be less and dye affinity or the process of dyeing will be difficult for fibers which are more crystalline in nature, whereas here the moisture absorption will be more and dyeing is easy, but degrading agents can enter and degrade the textile materials easily in case of amorphous regions. It allows the polymers to be more readily displaced when the fiber is subjected to stresses and strains during their use. जब strain और stress fiber textile material पर apply होगा तो displacement easily allow करेगा, जबकि यहाँ पर displacement allow नहीं करेगा, because crystalline means the polymers are very close together, more bonding, more bonds are there, more forces of interpolymer forces of attraction are more, and that's why displacement is not easy. More cohesive forces are applied within the polymers in the polymer system of the fiber. So more crystalline means doesn't allow the polymers to be more easily displaced when the fiber is subjected to stresses and strains during their use. And due to this, we are getting following properties if the fiber is more amorphous, means the amorphous regions are more in the polymer system of a particular fiber, like viscose. Viscose is having more amorphous regions as compared to crystalline regions, around 65% amorphous and 35% crystalline regions. So it is more absorbent, means moisture absorption property will be high, but it is weaker. Tensile strength will be less, and because tensile strength is less, it will be less durable. Durability will decrease. It can be easily degraded by chemicals, because degrading agents or chemicals can enter into the polymer system of the fiber easily. Due to more gap between the polymers, it will be easily degraded by the chemicals. It can be easily dyed, because dyed molecules can enter easily, more pliable, softer handle, and more easily distorted, means they are more plastic. Whereas just opposite to amorphous regions, if the fiber is more crystalline, like polyester is highly crystalline fiber, cotton is also having 65% crystalline regions and 35% amorphous region, just opposite to viscose. So it is less absorbent as compared to more amorphous fibers. It is stronger, more crystalline regions means more strength of the fiber, and more strength of the fiber means the textile materials are more durable. It cannot be easily degraded by chemicals. The dye is also less dyed, means dyeing is not very easy for crystalline fibers like polyester. It is less pliable, means more stiffer, and it restricts being distorted, means less plastic. इसका distortion or displacement easy नहीं होगा, so it will not be distorted easily. It resists being distorted. We have completed up to this in the last class. Today we are taking the last topic, last point of, or last requirement of a polymer to be converted into fiber. Fiber forming polymer की जो last requirement, that is formation of high melting point polymer system. Means a polymer system should have high melting point. A fiber consisting of a high melting point polymer system tends to have adequate heat resistance to enable it to withstand the various heat treatments of textile finishing, laundering and ironing as a garment. जब हम टेक्सटाइल फाइबर को यार्न में कन्वर्ट करने के बाद जब टेक्सटाइल मटेरियल्स लाइक फैब्रिक में कन्वर्ट करते हैं, तो उसके बाद हम उसकी फिनिशिंग करते हैं, लॉन्ड्री करते हैं, या आयरनिंग करते हैं. During all these processes, they are exposed to heat or they are exposed to high temperatures. So if these fibers or these textile materials are not having high melting point polymer system, then they will be melted or degraded easily at high temperatures. So they should have adequate heat resistance so that they can withstand various heat treatments of textile finishing, laundering and ironing. So in general, we can say longer the polymer and better the orientation. Means if the polymer length is high and the orientation is more crystalline, it will result in more interpolymer forces of attraction. जो bonds बनेंगे वो ज़्यादा बनेंगे, and if the bonds are more and having good strength, then they will give a more cohesive polymer system. Means they will not be easily displaced and they can bear high melting point or high temperature, means having higher melting resistance to heat or having higher melting points. So that is a basic requirement of a polymer to be converted into filament, that they should have high melting point polymer system. And for high melting point polymer system, we require longer polymers as well as better oriented polymers, means more crystalline regions are there. If more crystalline regions and higher length of polymer is there, then chances of formation of interpolymer forces of attraction will be more, and more forces of attraction between the polymers means giving a more cohesive polymer system, and a more cohesive polymer system resulting in high melting point polymer system. These are the basic requirements of a polymer to be converted into filament or fiber. These 6 requirements are very important for a textile polymer, or the polymer which can be converted into textile materials. So this is all about this topic, requirements of fiber forming polymer. So this is different. Just try to distinguish between these two. When we have taken essential properties, that we are talking about the fiber, like tenacity, length, uniformity, elasticity, and spinability. That is the properties, essential properties of a fiber. Now here we have taken the requirements or essential properties of the polymer, which can be converted into fiber or filament. So generally students get confused in the examination whenever it is asked what are the essential properties of a polymer, then you have to mention all these 6 properties. And if it is asked what are the essential properties of the fiber, then you have to mention all those 5 essential properties. Now we will take a little introduction about interpolymer forces of attraction. And mainly in textile materials or textile fibers, 4 types of forces of attraction, interpolymer forces of attraction are existing. And I have taken in this slide, I have indicated them in the increasing order of strength. So first one is van der Waals forces of attraction. Second one is hydrogen bonding. Third one is ionic bonding. And fourth one is covalent bonds. So we have taken them in the increasing order of strength. Van der Waals forces of attraction are the weakest bonds or weakest forces of attraction, whereas covalent bonds are having highest strength. So van der Waals forces, then hydrogen bonds are more stronger than van der Waals forces. Ionic bonds are more stronger than hydrogen bonds, and covalent bonds are more stronger than ionic bonds. So we will take little introduction about these 4 types of interpolymer force of attraction, which you have already studied in the previous classes. Yes. Someone is unmuted. Someone is unmuted. Is there any question? Okay. Van der Waals forces are the weak forces. These are the weakest forces among all 4, which contribute to intermolecular bonding between molecules. And they are existing only when these 2 polymers are having the distance or the gap of 5 nanometer. If they are coming closer to 5 nanometer, then only these van der Waals forces will introduce into the polymer system. And they are because weakest type, but generally they are having very high number, and due to high number they are going to affect the properties of the fibers, particularly the strength. Hydrogen bonding, a hydrogen bond occur between positively charged hydrogen atom, which is indicated here, and in one polymer, and negatively charged oxygen or nitrogen or fluorine atoms in the adjacent polymer system. So it this type of bonds forms between hydrogen versus oxygen or nitrogen or fluorine, hydrogen in one polymer and negatively charged oxygen in another polymer. If these type of two atoms are coming closer within the polymer system of fiber, means this is one polymer, this is another polymer, hydrogen atom of one polymer is coming in contact or coming near to oxygen of another polymer which is negatively charged, these hydrogen bonds will get formed. And this is higher in strength as compared to van der Waals forces, but lesser as compared to ionic and covalent bonds. Then ionic bonding is a complete transfer of valence electrons, and because here complete transfer of valence electrons is there, that's why these type of bonds are stronger as compared to van der Waals forces of attraction and hydrogen bonds. So ionic bonding is a complete transfer of valence electrons between atoms. It is a type of chemical bond that generates two oppositely charged ions. It is stronger than hydrogen bonds or van der Waals forces. They occur principally in wool and polyamide fibers. Wool, nylon, and all the polyamide fibers generally contain ionic bonds and are also called salt links. इन्हीं को हम आयनिक बॉन्ड्स को साल्ट लिंक्स भी बोलते हैं, as they are the fundamental bond in chemical salts, because in chemical salts only these type of bonds are formed. They are fundamental bonds, so from that they are having a popular name like salt links or salt bonds, or also known as ionic bonds. So here transfer of electron is there, and due to this transfer of electron, these ionic bonds are formed, and that's why they are having higher strength as compared to van der Waals forces of attraction and hydrogen bonds. And the last type is covalent bonds. A covalent bond, also called a molecular bond, is a chemical bond that involves the sharing of electron pairs. Here, the electron pairs are shared between atoms. These electron pairs are known as shared pairs or bonding pairs. And these are found in wool. Disulfide bonds found in wool is a very popular example of covalent bonds, and they contribute to the strength of wool due to these disulfide bonds, which comes in the category of covalent bonds. So these four types of interpolymer forces of attraction are generally existing in textile fibers, and depending on the number of these bonds and the type of bonds present in the fibers, finally we decide the strength and many other properties of a fiber, like thermal properties or this tenacity, chemical resistant. All these properties are decided according to the type of bonds present in the fiber or the polymer system of the fiber, and number of bonds present in the polymer system of the fiber. So what are the numbers of the particular bond is there and what type of bonds are present, that is finally going to decide the tenacity of the fiber and thermal properties of the fiber and resistant to chemicals. So all these important properties of textile materials are affected by number and type of bonds or interpolymer forces of attraction. So before the next topic we will start in the coming lecture, that is related with general consideration with regard to fiber properties. Means what are the considerations or what are the points that should be considered when we are defining the fiber properties. So fiber properties depends on so many things. Already we have taken what type of polymer is there, what type of polymer system is there, how much crystalline and amorphous regions are there, what type of polymer is there, like polar or non-polar polymer, this polymer, what type of interpolymer forces of attractions are existing in the polymer system of the fiber. All these considerations are going to affect the fiber properties, like essential properties as well as desirable properties. So this topic is very important from the properties point of view, because we in our syllabus we have different fibers from the natural category as well as regenerated and synthetic categories, and we have physical, we will study physical and chemical properties of these fibers in detail. So to understand physical and chemical properties of different fibers like cotton, wool, silk, flax, viscose rayon, acetate rayon, polyester, nylon, acrylic, all these most popular fibers, to study or to understand their properties, we require this knowledge. What are the general considerations which are going to affect these properties? So the coming topic is very important as far as properties, physical as well as chemical properties are concerned. So please try to remain in the next class, and also you can share to the friends, because now generally we are these days we are taking general concepts or general basic concepts about textile fibers, uh, which will be applied in the coming classes or coming topics. Or you can make P in the chat box, and those who have the responsibility to take the screenshots, please take the screenshots and send me after the class. Still we have 1 more minute. So anybody want to ask any question?
सर
Yes.
सर ये क्रिम्प क्रिम्प अगर एक डिजायरेबल प्रॉपर्टी है,
Which
क्रिम्प
one?
इज अ डिजायरेबल प्रॉपर्टी.
Which one?
क्रिम्प क्रिम्प
Yes.
क्रिम्प
Yes.
क्रिम्प इज अ डिजायरेबल प्रॉपर्टी.
Yeah.
बट हमने अभी वो वाईएम में पढ़ा था कि क्रिम्प एक एसेंशियल प्रॉपर्टी भी है.
YM में किसने पढ़ाया आपको एसेंशियल प्रॉपर्टी है फाइबर का? Because many fibers,
अरविंद सर.
many fibers do not possess crimp. If they are not possessing crimp, and if that is essential property, then how it can be used for textile materials? Like this wool fiber is having the crimped configuration. Otherwise, other fibers like flax or jute or this silk, they do not possess this crimp property. So it cannot be
ओके
put
सर.
in the essential properties, but for some end users, some particular fabrics, we require this property, and that can be induced